completed M.Tech in Engineering Systems from Agra in 1994 and PhD in Computer Engineering from NMU in 2007. His area of research include pattern recognition, image processing, web mining, and natural language processing. He has over 25 years of teaching experience. He has been awarded the Best Paper Presentation Award, Best Paper Award, and also Best Teacher Award in 2012 by Kavyatri Bhattabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. There are currently 7 students pursuing PhD under his supervision. In addition, 10 students have been awarded their PhD and 2 students submitted their final thesis. His patent was published in 2016. In the last 3 years, 4 international book chapters have been published by him. There are 44 research papers published in international journals and 9 research papers published in national journals. 34 papers were published in international conference proceedings and 37 papers in national conference proceedings. He has completed 5 research projects of sanction amount 5,753,000. He is a life member of CSI, IETE, IFCA, LSI, and SIGAI. He is currently working as a years member in subjects computer science and information technology in KBC, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon, SP Pune University, Pune, and in Shivaji University, Kolhapur. He worked as a program committee member of international conferences held at Thailand. He has delivered speeches for national and international conferences. We are fortunate to have such a wonderful personality to hear. I request Dr. Satish Kolle sir to start his session on topic AI from concept to building model.
Hello, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. होता है, sir. शुरू है, स्क्रीन शेयर होता है सर. ओके.
First of all, let me thank to the organizers, Dr. Bharate and Dr. Wani, for inviting me for this special lecture on artificial intelligence. I hope that I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
In this lecture, I am going to discuss the concept of artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence is applied in the real world. And my lecture, I have divided into 4 parts. I will start with different AI use cases, and then we will see what is machine learning pipeline, which is heart of any AI system. Another important aspect of any AI system is feature selection and feature engineering. So that we will cover in the 3rd part of this session. And finally, we will see what are the options available on cloud for implementing different AI models. As we know that right from searching to something which is related with biometric facial recognition, converting our spoken word into the text, we come across variety of such applications in our real life. AI is heart of all such a systems, and it's becoming an important part of our modern lifestyle. So let us start with what an artificial intelligence is. We can say that it's an area of computer science that studies how machine can perform different tasks that would normally require sentient agent. Meaning of sentient agent out here is sentient means in Marathi we call it संवेदनशील or which is capable of perceiving. So in our discussion, mostly we will follow this description of AI, that how to use machine, that is computers, for the task which requires sentient agent. In the books, literature, you will find out artificial intelligence is an area of study where machines can closely imitate human intelligence. But our objective, as we have seen, those who are aware of, that is not imitating human intelligence as it is. We will take more optimistic view of artificial intelligence, and we will prefer at number of different tasks nowadays we perform in our real life that we can do with computers. To start with, let us see why we need to study AI. AI can impact every aspect of our lives. And this field, as we know that, tries to understand patterns and behavior of entities. And when we want to build smart system or smart systems, it is necessary to understand the concept of intelligence also. The intelligent systems that we construct are very useful in understanding how the intelligent system like our brain goes about constructing different intelligent systems. If you look at our brain, there are four main parts like brain stem, which is responsible for controlling our heart rate and body temperature. Then main midbrain, that is responsible for motor regulation and appetite. As we go above, you will find out the complexity increases. Then limbic part of our brain, that is responsible for behavior and emotions. And more difficult task, that is neocortex part of our brain, that is responsible for abstract thoughts. So as you go from bottom to the top of this diagram, you will find out the task of developing system which is responsible for implementing this task, that is becoming more complex and complex. Am I audible? Am I with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now let us see how intelligence convert data
Yes, sir. You
into
are
the
audible,
knowledge.
sir.
Okay, thank you. So for all computer-based systems, input is in the form of data. We deal with huge amount of data. And human brain can't keep track of so much data. As we know, we process that in the form of information. So you can visualize this information as your database, the data that we have in the database. Then we incorporate cognition and convert that into the knowledge. There are different ways to convert data into the knowledge. For example, sometimes we use ontology. But as you will see, computer requires input in the form of data, but our brain stores knowledge directly. So it's a job of a system, computer-based system, to convert data into the knowledge. That is first important task. And different techniques nowadays, AI techniques we are using for this purpose. And that has resulted in a new new area in artificial intelligence, that is data science. So data has got a lot of importance. And as we know that data organizes from multiple sources, and that is right now in unorganized and chaotic. Because earlier only we used to use databases, but nowadays whole data from the internet, that is in the form of images, videos, your browsing history, or websites, you will find out this data is unorganized and chaotic. And it is necessary that this knowledge derived from this data must be updated constantly, because data itself keeps changing. So these are the challenges today we have. Then for this purpose, you need to understand that data, you need to extract patterns. So data science does that. And then based on that, inferences are drawn. And we say that that is what intelligence is. So this diagram nicely explains the input that we give to the computer system and how it gets converted into the form of intelligence. Then why artificial intelligence? To handle large amount of data in efficient way, you need AI. And as we know that with the advent of cloud computing, now you are able to store huge amount of data. That was the limitation earlier. Then you need to ingest data simultaneously from multiple sources without any lag. Indexing and organizing the data, which will allow you to derive insights into that data. Then you need to learn from this new data and update constantly using right learning algorithms. Think and respond to the situation based on the conditions in real life. So that's why, as we know that today, instead of saying AI system, we say that agent. We implement an agent, so which has sensors, which takes inputs from the various sources, and these inputs are processed by using techniques, and then action is taken by actuators. So nowadays we call that as an AI agent. And then continue the task without getting tired. So I will not go into the detail of what learning is. You can very well compare this with a small child, how a small child learns the various things in the life. For example, walking, running, or picking up different objects, placing them on one another. So which involves risk perception, risk evaluation, right? So therefore, you need AI system which will perform all these different tasks. Sorry. Now let us come to different branches. There are several ways by which you can classify artificial intelligence. like supervised learning versus unsupervised learning, or nowadays reinforcement learning is very popular. So based on the situation, we select appropriate mechanism to develop AI system. Then artificial general intelligence versus narrow intelligence. That is weak AI and strong AI, we used to call that earlier. So nowadays, we are more interested in general intelligence, general AI. Then by human function, you can classify artificial intelligence into branch like machine vision, which involves your video processing, image processing. Then another branch that has emerged, that is machine learning. Then we have very popular nowadays natural language processing area, and then natural language generation. Very good example of this, all of you might be knowing, that is Chat GPT. That is a product of all of this mechanisms. Like it is able to generate response to your queries in natural language. So which involves natural language generation, which requires natural language processing. That means what knowledge system has. And most of this knowledge is in the form of text, English language text, sometimes in the other languages. Nowadays, these systems, they have started processing images as well as videos also. So machine vision is required, and machine should learn by itself to generate the response. So for that purpose, you need machine learning, right? So all the tasks, they are involved in what we call very popular application, very well discussed application nowadays, that is Chat GPT. Am I with you?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Okay, thanks. If you go further, you will find out we have logic based AI, then lot of research has been done on search, which requires indexing mechanism, then knowledge representation. Knowledge has taken various forms. All the knowledge which is available on the internet, that is nowadays used. Earlier, that was not the case. We used to use special techniques for representing the knowledge. For example, predicate logic or frames knowledge representation. But although at the lower level, we use 0-1 logic, but at higher level, the raw knowledge, as we know that in data science, we use for representing the knowledge. Then for complex system, we have this planning techniques which has to be used. Like for example, developing a AI system model like robot, which is used to navigate Mars surface, analyze the data, and send the result to the Earth station. So you need to plan, you need to use various planning techniques for that purpose. Then various heuristics we use for making your search intelligent. And for optimization problems, we started using genetic programming, genetic algorithms. Now, if you come to the agent, as I talk about, instead of calling AI system, we call them as an intelligent agent. So agent looks something like this. Agent operates in an environment. It can be a software or it can be a hardware and software. So the system that we are developing that works in some environment, for example, search agent or chatbot, Microsoft chatbot, which sometimes we use to get help if we stuck somewhere while using some software, or robot, rover kind of robot sent on Mars. It works in the environment of Mars. It's an hardware as well as software. So it can be a hardware or it can be a software. Agent will have sensors. This sensor can be your thermistor or it can be a microphone, right? So it can be a humidity sensor, any sensor which will give you input in the form of data. Then the common steps every system has to perform, that is we extract features from that data, and then some learning model you are going to use. Then that learning model will help you to draw inferences. And then there will be a mechanism called as actuator, which will perform an action. So that action will be performed in an environment. So as an end user will see this environment where your system is operating, which will have sensors and actuators. And it's a job of AI system developer to convert this input from the sensors into the actions, right? Now let us come to the central part, representative AI use cases. That means various applications of artificial intelligence today. So you will find out that varies from finance to medicine. That is all banks, specifically investment banks, you will find out they have been heavily using data science, artificial intelligence, learning in their day-to-day operations. For example, investment banks, heavily they are using artificial intelligence to decide on the market, stock market in different countries, how the investments will be made, what will happen tomorrow, predictions have to be made. So right from finance, and we have experienced that in COVID-19 period, that medicine, heavily artificial intelligence has been used. Within 5 to 6 months of time, you might be knowing that genome sequencing has been used to come up with vaccine for COVID-19. So that was possible because of bioinformatics or computers and artificial intelligence. You will find out it is difficult to find industry that is not being touched by artificial intelligence. Almost every company, every industry, whether it is large or small, you will find out that has been affected by artificial intelligence, specifically positive way. As a computer science researcher or student, we will focus on real world examples of most of the popular applications in everyday life. We will explore current state of art as well as what is coming soon. And most importantly, I hope that This lecture will spark your imagination and you may come up with some new innovative idea. Let us start with digital personal assistant and chatbots. Almost all of us, they have heard about this, at least not use. Like great advances in area of natural language processing, and result of that is chatbots. Let us start with Google Assistant. Almost all of you knew this Amazon Alexa. Similar to this, Apple, they have Apple Siri, and Microsoft, they have Microsoft Cortana. When you start Microsoft Office, then this agent pops up, Cortana agent. And if you have any question, you can type that question in the chat box, and it gives you an answer, tries to help you. Similar to this, Apple, they have their product, Apple Siri. Okay. This is the logo of Microsoft Cortana. Now, great example of this is ChatGPT. Microsoft, they have collaborated with ChatGPT. And at the same time, you will find out Google, they have also started working on long back on their product similar to this ChatGPT. So we can expect lot of development in coming 1 or 2 years in this specific area. Now, let us come to digital personal assistant. All these assistants that we have seen, that is Amazon Alexa or Cortana, they at least performs this task, like they control devices in your home. Very common example of this, your air conditioner today, that is controlled by Alexa. You can control it with Alexa and similar chatbots. Similarly, the fans nowadays, you will be every day coming across with advertisement from Atomberg or Pole fans, BLDC motor fans. They are also operated with the help of Alexa, your television. So you will find out within 2-3 years, even in our area, many of the devices in your home that will be controlled by this chatbots or digital personal assistant. They are able to play music, display videos on command. So you will have to just say play and name of the video. So that video gets played. And now, interestingly, these things are available in local languages also. They can set timers and reminders for you. They can make appointments, send text and email messages automatically for you as per your requirement, can make phone calls, they can open applications. So this is a very common task which is performed by chatbot. For example, Microsoft Cortana, if you say open Microsoft Word, so that software gets open. You will have to train the system. Once you train it, then it obeys your commands. Read notifications. They are able to perform translation. Huge work is going on in this area. Even some of you might be knowing the IIT Mumbai, they have developed a translator, very good translator, that converts English language text into Marathi language. So now people they have started using that system to convert books which are in English language into the Marathi language. It can place orders from the e-commerce sites. Let me remove this. Okay. Also, you will find out some of the tasks right now which are not supported, but you will find out in future. Uh, Definitely, this assistant will be able to do that. That is, you will be able to check into your flight by using your personal digital assistant. You can book a hotel as per your requirement. So you need not have to even go to the website and perform the registration and payment, all this. Your digital personal assistant will be able to do that automatically for you. Then making a restaurant reservation. Right now, what we do, we go to the website and then we carry out this task manually. But it is expected that within 1 or 2 years, you will be able to do that with your digital personal assistant. Now, Alexa, many of you might be associated with that, knowing some of these things. Alexa is capable of doing lot of things. Like My Song is an application which recommends what wine goes with certain meat. Similarly, Bartender that provides instruction on how to make alcoholic drinks. These are the logos. These are very common skills that Alexa has. Then 7-minute workout. This is also very popular, which guides you through a tough 7-minute workout. So what should be done? Sequence of steps that has to be carried out as per your requirement, which is important. Then Uber, another application that allows you to order your Uber ride through Alexa. Let us come to another use case, that is shipping and warehouse management. Before going, am I with you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So Amazon sorting facility is very good example of this. Best example. Thousands of orders, multiple thousands of orders are processed per second at this Amazon sorting facility. And specifically, it's a symbiotic relationship that is forming between human. Very few people actually works in this sorting facility, computer and robots. Computer take customer orders because all of you use e-commerce sites like Amazon. So you place an order. So computer decide where to route and merchandise. No people are involved in this. Robots they have at this sorting facility that act as a mules carrying the pallets and inventory around the warehouse. So very few people work there. Actual physical work that has been done by the robots. Robots are proficient in mindlessly repeating tasks, as we know that. So they can do that as many as you want and without any problem, without any mistake. So there is a pattern involved in this work and some level of per trainee is involved to achieve this. So rightfully, this Amazon people, they have been using this. But you will find out robots, they struggle in dealing with objects of different sizes. This is the right now the problem that we have. Different weights, shapes, and fragility. For example, if some of the object that is glassware, so handling glassware requires special kind of skill. And if it is, for example, very different object like books, so that can be handled in different way. So actually, differentiating between this, robots right now they are struggling, and but human they perform this effortlessly. This is very easy for us. Even Scott Anderson, who is Amazon director of robotics, he acknowledged 2 years back that fully automated warehouse is at least 10 years away. So what this meaning of this, that at least we need 5 to 6 years right from today to have a completely automated warehouse. What is the reason? The reason is lot of work is required in handling different sizes of objects. So all these are the actually research areas. Work is going on handling objects of different weights, then shapes. So this every aspect is a research area and work is going on in this. Another important use case that is human health. That means how AI can be applied in human health, and almost these applications are limitless, rightly said, like drug discovery. Uh, that as I told you, in COVID-19, we have experienced new drug vaccine has been invented in very short period of time. Then insurance pricing, patient diagnosis also that is carried out with the help of automated systems. Doctors they use, then medical imaging interpretation, then analyzing your X-rays, CT scan images, psychiatric analysis, then smart health records, disease detection and prediction. These are some of the areas where AI has been used and lot of scope is there still further use of artificial intelligence. Next, knowledge search. As we know that Google search is the perfect example of this. This product has become ubiquitous in our lives because without search, it is very difficult to uh, even stay for 1 or 2 hours. Every now and then, if we have problem, we go to the Google search, type the question, and try to get an answer or solution. In 2015, a report by Bloomberg, Google began using deep learning system, and they had the project Rank Brain. Actually, some of you might have heard Rank Brain to assist in generating search query responses. And what today we have uh, as a result, that means all these bots and all that, that is the result of this. They are using deep learning system in understanding videos, images, as well as text. So very meaningful responses we are getting because of this deep learning AI technique. Then come to the recommender system. Sorry. Now, recommender system, we are also familiar with this. Like when we use e-commerce site Flipkart or Amazon or social networking site like Facebook, we get several recommendations. For example, if you are interested in buying mobile phone, then you start getting advertisements related with mobile phone. Sometimes we wonder how they come to know that I want this. So that's why data is very important. Data has got a lot of importance nowadays. They collect everything from you and then start giving you recommendations. When we buy something on Amazon or Flipkart, that time also you will find out what you want, you get recommendation for that. Also, you get recommendation on Amazon, YouTube, Netflix, LinkedIn, and we don't even realize that we have started using this as a part of our life. Recommendations given by these sites. We know that these systems they rely heavily on data and more data. And if they have more data, then they are more powerful. That's why Google is more powerful because they have huge data, everything about you. One of the ways that recommender system can improve is by using their previous selections or previous experience. So our history that has been used as one of the feature to provide recommendations. Also, when if you are working in recommendation, then you should also uh, consider randomization factor, which is very important part of any recommender system. And if you go through the literature, you will find out specific examples. Notable examples are Netflix Price, Pandora Betterment. These are the examples of recommender systems. Then come to the smart home. As we have discussed that most of our appliances, sorry, appliances that we use at home, nowadays you are able to, there is a lag, net is little bit slower, bear with me. So that's why it's taking time. Let me come to the proper slide first. Am I with you?
Yes, sir. No problem, sir.
That's why I have switch off video also. Okay.
No problem.
Uh,
Smart home.
Let us come to the smart home. So Alexa or Google Assistant, they are able to control the devices at our home. Almost all devices, right from your washing machine to the audio system, which includes air conditioners, even nowadays fans, tube lights. Is it visible? New slide.
Please share next slide, sir. Recommender system is visible. Hello.
Okay. let me move it. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Good. So washing machines, now folding clothes with the help of Alexa or similar kind of assistant, then cook dinner, make bed, pick up item off the floor, mopping, dusting, and vacuum cleaning. Now these things are very common. iRobot, Brava, robot vacuum cleaners are in the market now. Your dishwasher, then video door monitor system. All these tasks you will find out uh, are performed by the AI systems. Some of the tasks, a lot of proficiency is there. In some work, still the proficiency has to be achieved. So all those tasks where you need to achieve proficiency, those are the research areas, specifically folding clothes or making bread, picking of items. So this is also challenging. So work is going on in that. Then come to the gaming part. All of us might, you might be come across some of with this, like Geopardy, very common, or Spacecraft 2. Or a very common example is a game of chess, computer-based chess playing. So very good programs we have nowadays, which are capable of playing games like humans. Example of this is the Deep Blue system, which was developed by IBM. Similar to this AlphaGo game, right? Then another big area along with this game playing is movie making. Actually, there is perhaps no better example to demonstrate advances in AI other than the field like gaming and movie making. Huge development is taking place in the area of games, and that is also related with a lot of money. That's why companies they are investing a lot in this. But not only this, you will find out within next few decades, it will be possible to create movies that are up to 100% computer generated movies. And I can give you some of the examples also, like deep fakes. A very good example of this. This is a you will find out it's a blend of deep learning and fake. They have used AI techniques to merge video images actually and generated a movie called as deep fakes. Uh, this deep fakes you will find out that can also be used to create fake news and hoax. Similar to this, movie script generation. Sunspring, this is a science fiction short film that was released in 2016, and it was entirely written by deep learning technique. You see, in 2016 only, lot of work people they started in the area of deep learning, and successfully they have used in various applications. And the film script, this Sanskrit film script was created using what we call now long-term short-term memory, LSTM model, AI model, right? That was done by Benjamin. Then comes to data cleansing and transformation. Uh, Example of this is specifically computer science students, they knew this. Uh, Amazon lake formation. As we know that just as gas powers a car, gas means your petrol or diesel that powers a car. Similarly, data is livelihood of any AI system. Earlier, we used to say that garbage in, garbage out. But actually, nowadays, it's not true. If you give data, then you get lot of meaningful things out of that. And that's what we do in data science. So for that purpose, we use Amazon lake formation uh, kind of framework. Actually, this lake formation also provides centralized dashboard. Here you can see the snapshot of that, and where we can manage and monitor data access policies, governance, auditing across multiple analytical engines like that. And as this tool will evolve in future also, you will find out it will help you to analyze data using your favorite software, analytics software, machine learning services. Like today, what we use, Databricks, Tableau, Amazon Redshift, AWS Glue, or Amazon Quick Site, like this, or commonly known is Amazon SageMaker. So a lot of work is going on, and in future you will be able to see a lot of things development in this area. So let us summarize the first part. I have provided you few examples, use cases of AI. As AI will advance, it will have lot of implications on our society. And during this, you will find out, you will have to deal with questions like, what happens if AI becomes so evolved that it became conscious, or should it be given rights? Or if robot replaces human, should companies be required to continue paying payroll tax for that displaced worker? Or will we get a point where computers are doing everything? And if so, how will we adopt this? How will we spend our time? And even worse than that, does the technology will enable a few individuals to control all resources? For example, Amazon people or Google people, right? Because they have all data, huge data about us. So let us think about this. For this lecture, I will move to the second part of my lecture. Now, to do all this, you need to work on machine learning pipeline. So this is how any AI system, when we deal with, it has to develop a machine learning pipeline, which includes problem definition. We will start with this, and then you are going to perform data ingestion. Then another important step that we perform, that is data preparation and segregation. Then we train the model that has to be evaluated. Then model is deployed and then we monitor the performance. If performance is not satisfactory, then we repeat the steps, and if the performance is satisfactory, the system is used for the real life application. So every AI system will go through all this different steps in your machine learning pipeline. So let us understand these steps. Important steps in this machine learning pipeline. Am I with you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thanks. So first step is always problem definition, where we define the business problem. Very important step in machine learning pipeline. That problem has to be defined precisely, because your other steps in this pipeline, they are wholly depend on how you have defined the problem. So this definition has to be complete and precise. That will be in the natural language. Then we will have to work on data ingestion, where we will identify and collect the data set. Then we will work on data preparation. In data preparation process, we will process and prepare the data using various techniques that we will discuss afterwards. Then data segregation. Actually, data segregation means splitting the data into the training set, validation set, and testing set. So all of us are aware of this. Generally, what we do, training data, 80% we put aside for training purpose and remaining 20% for testing. Then mix of this we use for validating, and we call that as a validation data set. Then next step is model training, where we train the model that we have developed. For example, you may use random forest model or reinforcement learning model, depending on your requirement. So that has to be trained, and this is the core of any data science project. Then evaluation of this candidate model. So performance measure we do by validation set, different techniques we use for this purpose. Then model deployment. Once the model is ready or you are satisfied with the model, deploy it into the production for inference. And then again, it's actually a continuous process, repetitive process. Performance monitoring, continuously use the model, execute the model to monitor its performance, refrain and recalibrate it accordingly if required. So it's a continuous process. Let us come to the first step in this machine learning pipeline, that is problem definition. It's a very crucial steps when you set up machine learning pipeline, because experienced people, they will tell you the time spent you here can save you orders of magnitude of time later on in the latter stages of the project. So if you here make any mistake, you will have to pay for it afterwards. Huge payout you will have to make. So spend enough time in problem definition. It might mean the difference between making technological breakthrough or failing. That means two opposites. Technological breakthrough is one side, and failing is another side. That's how it is important. Or difference between a startup company and a company which is going to bankrupt. So both are uh, extremes. One is on other side, another one is on another side. So that's how the things are important in problem definition. So what is important here? Framing the right question. That is very important step in this problem definition. Let us move to the next step. So I will move to the data ingestion. Now in data ingestion, once you have crafted the problem, then next step is gather the raw data. This will help you to answer the question. Out here, you will find out collecting right data for your pipeline. It's a tremendous undertaking. That means it's a huge task. It's not a very simple task. Okay. Another important task that you will have to perform, that you will have to decide uh, how will data be sourced, ingested, and stored. So for this purpose, if some of you are aware of major data science platforms, the tools are available nowadays for us in data preparation as well as data ingestion. In data preparation, you might have heard Azure machine learning services, Azure ML service, or another one, Rapid Miner is another tool that you can use for data preparation, right? There are some of the real time data processing tools also available for data ingestion, like Apache Kafka or Azure's Event Hub. That is another tool which is used nowadays. Actually, the things have become easy nowadays if you use the framework. So for that purpose, you should have cloud subscription. Then comes to the data ingestion. And tools also I told you. And here what we do specifically, we pick up relevant input variables. Relevant, this word is important because your data that we have collected may have several variables. And you will find out some of these variables may not provide you meaning. So, but if you combine few variables together, then that may be useful in your project or in your problem. So what we call this, we call that as if you combine more than one input variable to make it more meaningful, we call that as feature engineering, which we will see afterwards. So basically data ingestion means picking up relevant input variables. Okay, so this already I told you, these are the various services which are available on Google subscription, popular services, which directly can be used for this purpose. Similar to this, databases like SQL Server or SQL Azure, day by day they are adding specific machine learning functionality to support machine learning pipeline. Along with that, Spark has a built-in Spark streaming. It can read data from HDFS, Kafka, and other sources. And if you are working on Apache, then other alternatives are like Apache Storm or Heron. Okay, but not only this, uh, as a student, if students are attending this lecture, We are also using Jupyter Notebook for writing our Python projects or R Studio. These are also the tools available. Sometimes we use this Jupyter Notebook or R Studio for this purpose. Now, one of the critical operations that we do in data preparation, that is data cleansing, that are uh, dealing with missing values in the data that we collect. You will find out some of the values are missing. There are several reasons for this, but how to deal with those missing values? There may be duplicate records or values, feature scaling. We may have inconsistent values or inconsistent date formatting. So you will have to deal with all of this in data preparation. In data segregation, we split the data, as I told you, into training and testing. Sometimes you need to perform validation testing also. So in that case, we will have three types of data: training data, validation data set, and test data. Am I with you?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Then next step is model training. Once we split the data, then next step is to run that training and test data through the series of models. Like, for example, it may be your multi-layer perceptron model, or it may be deep learning model. Uh, so data will go through this series of model and access its performance. And this process is a continuous iterative process. So various algorithm might be tested until you have model that sufficiently answers your question. So that means until you are satisfied. Then you will have to select the appropriate model, and then final step is deploy it. Once you deploy it, deployment means actually real-time execution of your model in the environment. So you will have to answer several questions during this model deployment. Does the system need to able to make predictions in real time? So if yes, then how fast? For example, does it require response in milliseconds or hours? Why this is important? Because that will help you to decide on the technique that you are going to use, or how often do the model need to be updated? What amount of volume or traffic is expected? If it is huge traffic, then you may have to work on what kind of traffic management you are going to use. What is the size of data set? Is it a big data? If yes, then how you are going to deal with that? What techniques you are going to use? Are there regulations or policies and other constraints that need to be followed or abided by? So if you answer all this, then that will help you to train the data. Sorry. Let me remove this. Now let us come to model deployment. There are various now architectures. Just for your knowledge, I have put this. When you deploy the model, you will have to use the appropriate architecture. For example, RESTful API architecture, or you may use shared DB architecture. Another alternative that we have is streaming architecture. Has its own features. For example, if your processing is batch processing, then you will have these two options: RESTful API or shared DB architecture, because this other two, they are used for streaming or real-time applications, right? So similarly, based on what our project is, you will have to choose appropriate architecture for deployment purpose. Then regardless of which architecture we have chosen, it's always a good idea to use following principles while model deployment, that it should have reproducibility, then automation is expected, it should be extensible, should be modular, and testing has to be done. Along with this, performance monitoring is important aspect. Once a model makes into the production, the job is not done. Always continuously you'll have to model the performance. It's a continuous process. So for this purpose, this is important that different matrices that need to be considered, like model performance, operational performance, total cost of ownership, which is popularly called as TCO, and service performance. So these are the matrices along with which you will have to model the performance. Let us summarize this machine learning pipeline part of this lecture. Here, I have tried to lay down in detail what are the different steps in this pipeline. Let us recall the steps. First step is problem definition. Then you need to perform data ingestion. Data ingestion means picking up right variables. Data preparation. So noise you will have to remove. Data segregation. In segregation, you divide data depending on your requirement into training, testing, or training, validation, and testing. Then we select the model, deploy the model, and then performance monitoring has to be continuously done. So this completes second part of my lecture. We will move to the third part, that is feature selection and feature engineering, which is also very important step component of any machine learning pipeline. So let us come to feature selection. Feature selection basically is variable selection. You may have set of features or variables in the data, or you may have several attributes. In feature selection, we select important features among the available attributes, or this is also called as reducing dimensionality reduction in the data set, because number of features should not be too large, as well as number of features should not be very few, so that important features are ignored. So that will have direct effect on the inference. There may be unnecessary, unrelated features, duplicate features. So feature selection will take care of that. So this is a key step in process of building model, and which will have huge impact on performance of your system. Why it is important? Because it will shorten training time. So a lot of time you can save during the training, because unnecessarily if you increase at least one feature, then that will have direct effect on the training time. large training time will be required. Then it will also have importance in simplifying the model as well as understanding the model, enhancing test performance by reducing overfitting. So these are the important terms like overfitting. Overfitting means what? Like providing more than what is required to learn. When we learn any concept, we need to learn sometimes by examples. So while providing examples, number of examples that we provide should not be too high. Problem, system will be a rote learning system. So it will remember as it is. So if system sees something new, system will not be able to tackle with that new situation in that case. Okay, so that is overfitting. That means not do not provide more training examples than required. But it should not be like you should not provide what is required. So you will have to find out balance. Then come to the feature engineering. That is opposite of feature selection. In feature selection, what we do, we select variables or we remove variables. In engineering, you create new variables. That is the difference between feature engineering and feature selection. Actually, for example, if there are two different features, so individually they may not be very important, but if you combine them, that may be very useful in your machine learning model. So this is also a very important step, feature engineering in machine learning system. So as I told you, it's a critical component, feature selection. So if we have lower amount of input features, there might be a case. Reason may be reducing the multi-collinearity. So parameters will be easy to interpret. That will reduce the time required to run the model. And if you have less number of features, then it is easier to explain. And as number of dimensions increases, and you will find out number of possible configurations, combinations will increase exponentially. So that will take more time during the training. Let me remove this. Am I with you?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Now you can drop these features, unnecessary features, without impacting the model's precision. What type of features we can drop? Redundant features, that means duplicate features, or irrelevant features. How to identify duplicate features? You can have correlation. You find out correlation between the features. If they are correlated, then that means the other features you can remove. Only keep one feature out of it. So that's where statistics plays an important role. You can have exploratory data analysis. So which will help you to feature importance, univariate selection, and correlation matrix with heat map. So these are the various techniques which you can use for this purpose, feature selection purpose. So first I will go through that because we are running out of time. when we carry out this feature selection, so that is done by identifying importance of each feature. So feature importance we call it. So what we do, we calculate score for each feature in the data set. How this score is calculated? So there are different techniques. So first I will go through these techniques. If you are working in some of this, you will find it helpful. For example, you can have a tree-based classifier. A simple code in Python you can have, and that will help you to identify score for each feature in your feature data set. Like you can simply define a model extra T classifier. Look at this line. A simple code you can write by defining a model extra T classifier. So these are the usual steps that you uh, fit the model by using model.fit command, and then draw the graph. So that will tell you the score of each feature. For example, the data set that I have used, so it has identified score for all these 5 features. So this feature RAM, actually it's RAM. Its score is highest score. So that means it has the highest importance in the data set, followed by battery power. And the least score is with mobile weight. So in this way, if you have 100 features, you can have graph something like this. And out of that, then you will decide, for example, you need 10 features. So first 10 features can be used for the further process. So for this purpose, we use different statistical tests. So k-based features also, this test, for example, select k-based in scikit-learn library in Python. We can use this select k-based. So you will get k-based features out of the available n features. So this is also very easy to implement in Python. You can have for this purpose correlation heat maps. So as I told you, that correlation exists between 2 features when there is a relationship between different values of that features. So this value, statistical parameter we can use to identify importance of that feature. This is called as correlation heat maps. So if this correlation is positive, or it can be negative, if it is positive, what is meaning of that? Increase in one value of feature increases the other target variable. So that means duplicate feature. Both features are duplicate. You keep only one. If it is negative, that means increase in one value that decreases the value of other feature. So that means negative correlation. So that means both are opposite. So that will help you in feature selection. So this is one of the technique. And just with a few line of code, we can do that in Python. Similar to this, we have wrapper-based method. What we do here, when we use this wrapper-based method, the problem of this selection, we reduce that to the search problem. So we select subset of features and train the model. And based on the performance, then we decide which subset has to be kept. So actually, a lot of computation you will have to perform. These are computationally expensive methods. For example, wrapper-based forward selection wrapper-based method, or we can have backward elimination. We can have recursive feature elimination. So which one I should use? You will have to decide that based on your research problem. Then sometimes we use filter-based methods. Different matrices can be used for this purpose. For example, Pearson correlation we can use, whose value is between -1 to 1. So that tells you linear dependence between two consecutive variables. So if they are linearly dependent, that means both are correlated. So you can remove other one, you can keep only one. For linear discriminant analysis, LDA. In PCA, actually this is implemented. We use sometimes to reduce dimensionality, uh, principal component analysis, right? So same thing, LDA, where we find linear combinations of features, or we use analysis of variance, ANOVA. You might have heard this. It is like LDA, except that it is calculated using one or more categorical independent variable. Categorical variable means what? It's not numerical. Variable value is not numerical. It will be a keyword category. For example, sex or gender is male, female, or neutral. So we write value male, female, neutral. So this variable is a categorical variable. Okay, so actually, in such a situations, what we do if the variable is categorical variable, we convert that into the numerical. System converts it into the numerical variable. Then sometimes we use chi-square test. Then we have group of categorical variables where we have to determine the likelihood of correlation or association between them, and if frequency distribution is given. So depending upon what we have, we can use appropriate feature selection like filter based method. Sometimes we use embedded methods. They use built-in feature selection, for example, lasso regression, which performs L1 regularization, or reach regression, which performs L2 regularization. I will not go into the mathematics. You just remember these are the options available with us, and these algorithms we can use very commonly in mometic, random multinomial logit, or regularization of trees as per our requirement. So let us compare this three techniques: filter based method, wrapper method, and embedded method. You will find out in filter based method, these are faster than wrapper based method. But if we have many features, then you will have to use wrapper based. And if it is in between, then you will have to use embedded method. Embedded methods actually they fit between this embedded method. They fit between filter based method and wrapper based method. And if you have to reduce the overfitting, then better to use embedded techniques. Just now we have discussed. Am I with you?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Now let us come to quickly feature engineering. If you search the literature, practitioners literature, you will find out that data scientists they spend most of their time on data preparation. So that's how it is important. 80% of their time is spent on data preparation only. Out of this, 60% of the time is spent on cleansing and organizing the data, and remaining time for building training set, collecting data set, mining data, refining algorithms and other. So you can, why I have shown this, you can make out why data preparation is very much important. It- that is that has directly effect on performance of the model. Now in feature engineering, what we do, we brainstorm. Brainstorming is done, discussions are made, and decision is made on what features might improve the model's performance after brainstorming. Then new features are created by combining the given features. And then if the new feature adds to the model performance, then it is added. If not, then that is removed. Then go back to the step one again. So it's a repetitive process, and that's how we perform feature engineering. However, you will find out there are generic techniques that you can apply regardless of the domain in which you are working, like imputation, outlier management, one-hot encoding, log transform, scaling, and date manipulation. To all this, you will have to use in data preparation to improve the performance of the system. Now, for data imputation, dirty data you will have to remove. So that may contain inconsistent data sets. While inputting the data, mistakes might have been done. We call that as a clerical error. There may be some privacy issues, so data may not be there for those attributes. So this leads to you need a technique to deal with all these parameters. So this can be done very easily in Python. Just one line code for everything you can write. To impute data, you can remove row with missing value, or numerical imputation can be done, or sometimes you can perform categorical imputation. Now, what is this? Numerical imputation means replacing the missing value with another value, which will make the sense. For example, if age is missing, and if you find out most of the age that is between inputted age for other records, that is between 21 to 37. So randomly you can select any value and replace that randomly selected value in place of that missing value. Or common replacement techniques are using zeros, or calculate the mean, or calculate the average. So it depends on your data, which technique you will have to use for replacing that missing value. Categorical variables you will have to impute. So if variables are there, then you will have to replace them with numbers. And if the value is missing, then again you will have to replace that with some other value which will make the sense. For example, if the gender is male, female, or neutral, so you can replace male means 0, female means 1, and neutral means 2, something like this. Or neutral means 0, male means 1, and female means 2, something like this. And if some value is missing, then you can have some mechanism by which you can replace that missing value. Then comes to the outlier management. Outliers, they affect actually the mean in the data set. So that's why they are important. For example, look at this graph. Now here you will find out these values are outlier values. This two. So that will have effect on the mean or average. So you will have to deal with such a values, right? So best way to remove this is outlier. You can directly remove those outliers. Or other technique is you can use standard deviation, or you can use percentiles, certain percentage of values if they are outliers. So you can drop based on the domain. Or third way is you can cap those values. For example, minimum value is 27. So you can replace that with 27 or some maximum value. Maximum value is 37. So you can replace that value with 37. So capping can be done. Then you sometimes we use one hot encoding in machine learning for feature engineering. If your algorithm cannot handle categorical feature, then we can use one hot encoding. So what we do, we convert these categorical features, as I have told, into the numerical features by the appropriate numerical value. Sometimes that is automatically done by the system, but if it is not done, as a developer, you will have to work on that. Sometimes we can use lock transform. It's a very common feature engineering technique that helps us to flatten highly skewed values. So when you apply this log transform, your data distribution get normalized. Another technique is scaling. So if the features in dataset, features mean values of the feature in the dataset that vary to the extremes greatly, in that case, you can scale those values between, for example, -1 to 1 or 0 to 1. Okay, so that this continuous feature they become comparable. This is important. For example, if one of the value is rupees 5,000 and another value is rupees 5 lakh, most of the values are in lakhs. So in that case, it is necessary to scale those values. For example, but if you are using random forest, so you don't need actually scaling. So if you are using some other, for example, some artificial neural network model, in that case, you may have to scale those values. So it depends what machine learning model you are using. There are two common actually methods, scaling methods that can be used. One is normalization, where we find out x norm, x minus x mean divided by x max minus x mean. X is what we are a feature value. X mean, as name suggests, minimum value, x max maximum value. So here you will get x norm, normal value. This is one way. Another way is standardization. So this is also called as Z score normalization. We find out this Z by x minus mu. X is your value and mu is the mean and sigma is standard deviation. So this is actually the scaling. Then we sometimes perform date manipulation. This is generally done by splitting your date into parts like year, months, and dates. Some you may have to find out duration between the two dates or weekends or holidays. So for that purpose, you will have to manipulate the dates. So let us summarize feature selection and feature engineering. Two important steps we have discussed. One is selection and another one is engineering. These two processes currently are much as an art than science. So you need to practice this. Picking up a model to use in a pipeline is a easier task than deciding which features to drop, which features you should use. So remember, those who are working in different areas and almost in all areas of computer sciences, we have been using machine learning models. So make sure that give proper weightage on feature selection and feature engineering. This model selection is a very small part in this machine learning pipeline. So I hope that I have covered most of the part, and since we are running out of the time, I will uh, just fast go through the cloud part. I will not discuss. I will just tell you what is available. Different frameworks are nowadays available. You need not have to put much efforts in developing algorithms. So different companies, therefore, they are migrating to the cloud, and different cloud providers we have like Amazon Web Services, AWS, or if Microsoft Azure from Microsoft, or Google, they have Google Cloud Platform. So you can subscribe related services by subscribing the cloud services, and that will help you a lot in developing your model. Like different options we have, like AWS, as I told, Amazon's AWS, then Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle, very popular Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and IBM Cloud. So depending on the requirement, you can subscribe this. So your job will become easier now. For that. So you need not have to work on algorithms. System will take care of that. So the rest of the work, you will have to actually learn that particular platform. For example, in this Amazon Translate, directly you need not have to now write the code for translation. You can use Amazon service, very mature code they have, model they have. So directly that model can be used from this Amazon Translate from AWS. So you need to subscribe this, and AWS API can be used for that purpose. You can have your own code also, you can embed into that. So I will not go into the details. So these are various examples. Similarly, Google, also Google Cloud Platform we have, and different services. So these are the references that I have used. I have to conclude. And some of the lectures, basic lectures, you will find out on my YouTube channel, Satish Sir KBC NMU. Thank you. If there are questions, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request to Professor Dr. B.H. Barhate, sir, convener of ETCIT 2023, to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Satish Kole, sir, for delivering a very nice lecture in our conference. Actually, Dr. Satish Kole, sir, delivered the concept through AI, which are very less in regular books, and as well as for the researchers. The combination of the concept about AI and how can that concept implemented in Python, this type of combination is very less given in regular books, as well as some research. The clear concepts are not explained, but Dr. Kole delivered such a type of a very nice lecture about feature extraction, and I think this is a very most important problem for all the researchers. They can ask every time, how can we extract the features? How can we extract the features? It may be related to image or whatever, maybe for text, but the very nice concepts are delivered about the feature extractions. And this lecture also helpful in image processing also. Very good presentation about feature extraction concept, in which major problems occurs in research. Thank you, Dr. Satish Kole, sir, once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
काही प्रश्न असतील तर विचारा म्हणा.
Due to some technical reason, our second resource person, Dr. Rakesh Devre, sir, is able to join the session. We regret for your inconvenience. Now, we head to our next technical session. All of us should ready with their PPT for the presentation. Here, we will take 5 minutes break.
खिचडी खाल्ली होती. तुमचं कसं काय आलं पूजा बाकीचे दिसेल ना आला
Welcome back. We welcome to our technical session chairperson, Dr. Ranjana Jhinjore ma'am, assistant professor from GG Khadse College, Muktai Nagar. Professor Ranjana Jhinjore ma'am, assistant professor JG Khadse College, Muktai Nagar. She has 18 years experience of teaching and she is one of the member of Board of Studies of Computer Science. I request ma'am to take the charge of technical session chairperson.
Thank you.
Now, I request Professor Manoj Behere sir, IMRD College Shirpur, to present his paper on topic pronoun antecedent agreement for anaphora resolution in Marathi language.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
But I am unable to share my that screen PPT. Okay, okay. Got it. Is that visible? Hello, ma'am.
No, sir.
No, it's loading.
I shared my that PT, but are you able to visible that?
No, sir, it's not visible. It's loading, I guess.
I am able to view my content. Hello. Share the Is the content visible?
No,
So I got one but message resume. Shall I explain directly?
हॅलो मनोज सर.
हाँ हाँ बोला.
हॅलो.
हाँ बोला 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 आवाज येतोय.
व्हॉट्सअपला मला शेअर करा. मी हे करतो सर, ते शेअर करतो इकडनं पीपीटी.
बर जस्ट 1-2 मिनिट. त्यांना पाठवली. पूनम महाजन मॅडम मला व्हॉट्सअपला कनेक्ट येताना पाठवली मी. हॅलो I shared my PPT to Poonam Mahajan madam. Shall I start? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes sir.
Shall I start? Okay. Good noon to one and all. Myself, Manoj Behere, assistant professor working in RC Patel Institute of Management Research and Development, Shirpur from last 23 years. Today, in this conference, I am going to present a paper, and the title is Pronoun Antecedent Agreement for Anaphora Resolution in Marathi Language. Basically, anaphora resolution is the process of finding correct antecedent, okay, to which it belongs to a particular anaphora. Anaphora means just like pronouns. Actually, in a sentence, when we see, when there is a noun in the first sentence, but in second sentence, there we use the pronoun for the same. For example, तनयने पुस्तक वाचले, ते खूप छान होते. Here I am going to say that तनयने पुस्तक वाचले. The तनय and पुस्तक both are the nouns, but in the second sentence, ते खूप छान होते, ते must refers to pustak. So here in Marathi language, for the anaphora resolution, they act as an anaphora, and there are two possible antecedent. First one is tanai ne, and the second one is pustak. But anaphora system must find correctly that of pustak, because they must refer to that pustak. Okay, so in natural language processing, this particular anaphora system, and that particular this particular system is very important. As we say in the question answering, that of machine translation, text summarization we are using. But when we see that use of this finding that particular correct antecedent, there are certain issues. As we know, we are my present work is for the Marathi language, so there is a issues like that of gender case, that of number in Marathi language. So we must focus on also just that when we find a correct antecedent from possible antecedent, okay, there must be match of gender, match of number, match of case, so that we'll find the correct antecedent. As we say here, whatever I just explained that example, तनयने पुस्तक वाचले, ते खूप छान होते. ते refers to that pustak also, pustak, but there are two possible antecedents, that tanayne and pustak. So as here we say, just that pullingi, strilingi, napusaklingi, that pustak, that te refers to here. So here my work is here just to find, just to simplify how to find the correct nouns. Okay, for a particular pronoun, we must have some pronoun antecedent agreement, and this work is for the same. Actually, sir, next slide, please. Am I audible? Next slide. Hello? Okay, thank you. As I said, when we say anaphora resolution, it mostly happens in pronoun resolution. Pronoun resolution. Actually, as I discussed just what that key, when we find that when we want to resolve that anaphora, okay, there is a fixed process. There are actually 3 steps: anaphora identification, searching the probable antecedent, and the filtration using different criteria which consist of anaphora resolution factors by which identifying proper antecedent. And I also explained what key that for that particular finding that process of this particular anaphora resolution, okay, there must be some matching, that must be agree, what that agree with that number, person and gender. Okay, as we know that when we use the to म्हणजे व्यक्ती म्हणजे पुल्लिंगी होतं. When we say ती म्हणजे काय स्त्रीलिंगी. When we say ते म्हणजे काय नपुंसकलिंगी. So we must consider the gender, that number, that case factor, so that we'll find that correct and so in Marathi language. Next slide, please. When we say basically there are Purushvachak Sarvanam, the wordings are that me, ami, to, tumi, to, ti, te, tya, apan, swata. Actually, Darshak Sarvanam means the demonstrative pronouns in English. Ha, he, he, to, ti, te. Sambandhi means relative pronouns. Jo, ji, je, ज्या. प्रश्नार्थक सर्वनाम कोण काय, अनिश्चित सर्वनाम, and that of आत्मवाचक reflexive pronouns. Actually, these reflexive pronouns are missing in English language. These are only present as I am working for the Marathi language. Okay, for Indian languages, okay, this reflexive pronoun present in the Marathi language, but these particular pronouns are not present in the English language. For example, if we say Smith saw, स्मिथने स्वतःच्या गाडीत ड्रायव्हरला पाहिले असं जर म्हटलं तर तो काय म्हणेल की स्मिथ सॉ ड्रायव्हर इन हिज ट्रक. म्हणजे इथं जे ना ते इंग्लिश मध्ये मिस आउट आहेत रिफ्लेक्सिव्ह. सो वी मस्ट हॅव टू कन्सिडर दिस ऑल्सो पॉइंट while working in this. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Actually, when we go through some sample sentences, I will discuss that. Okay, I have that paper also. Okay, so here when we say there are some findings, singular and plural. Okay, as I said, that of की आपण म्हणतो ना एक वचनी आणि अनेक वचनी असं. बऱ्याचदा मला आता मराठी शब्द वापरावे लागतील कारण की हे मराठीचं वर्ग आहे. ओके, पुल्लिंगी, स्त्रीलिंगी आणि नपुंसकलिंगी आपण म्हणतो ना तसं. तर त्या पद्धतीने हा जो टेबल आहे आम्ही तो फाइंड केलेला आहे मराठी लँग्वेज मधला. जो पहिला तो टेबल होता तो that will for only that pronouns, but here actually there are different forms, you know, की तो असेल पण तोचा वेगवेगळे फॉर्म्स असतात इन नॅचरल लँग्वेज. जसं तोचा, त्यास, त्याचा, त्याचे, त्याची, त्याने, त्याला, इन दिस वे. ओके, समजा मी ते म्हटलं ते जर त्यांना, त्यांचा, त्यांचे, त्यांची, त्यांनी, त्यांना. सो वी जस्ट फाइंड दिस. ओके, and we discuss some sentences. Just hello. Harshal sir. Harshal sir. Harshal sir. मॅडम नाही, ऍक्च्युली ती एक हायपरलिंक होती माझी, त्याला तो पेपर पण पाहिजे होता. पेपर पण टाकू का मग? कारण ते जास्त जास्त सेंटेन्सेस. हा हो, मग मी तो पेपर तुम्ही दाखवला तरी चालतो. हा हायपरलिंक एक पण माझं ते माझ्याकडे ना ते. ओके, हा पेपर आहे का तुमच्याकडे का मी परत पाठवू? सेंड करू का? ठीक आहे, व्हॉट्सअपलाच परत. सेंड केला मॅडम, सेंड केला मी तुम्हाला तो दाखवा. प्लीज नेक्स्ट पेज, next page. Thank you. See, there are some sentences, okay, sample sentences here actually. Okay, we studied lots of sentences, but जसं राज आज इत्ता चौथी मध्ये शिकतो. राजने गीत गायनाच्या स्पर्धेत भाग घेतला. राजच्या गीत गायनाच्या स्पर्धेत प्रथम क्रमांकाला राजला तनयने शाबासकी दिली. राजचे कौतुक तनयने केले. Actually, this actually is the wrong style. काय होतंय, प्रत्येक सेंटेन्स मध्ये आपण इथं हे वापरतोय नाम. जसं राज हा चौथीमध्ये शिकतो, राजने गीत गायनाच्या स्पर्धेत. ऍक्च्युली हे असं न करता आपण काय करतो बघा, पॅराग्राफ तुम्ही जो म्हटलंय, राज हा इथं चौथीमध्ये शिकतो, त्याने, नाव इट्स अ प्रॉपर वन, त्याने गीत गायनाच्या स्पर्धेत भाग घेतला. आता राज हा इथं चौथी शिकतो, त्याने गीत गायनाच्या स्पर्धेत भाग घेतला, तर त्याने इज द anaphora. We want to resolve this anaphora where it refers. When we say anaphorization, it goes back. Referent must be in the go back. When the referent is in the forward, we are saying it's a co-reference. But here we are saying the anaphora. So त्याने हा जो आहे ना तो कोणाला रिफर करेल, कारण की मागच्या सेंटेन्स मध्ये राज हा इत्ता चौथीमध्ये शिकतो, राज हा त्याला तो रेफर करायला पाहिजे. So when it happens properly, when we match properly the gender, number and case. Okay, please next. Now, I have given some example. तनयने रुचीला गृहपाठ दाखवला आणि त्यासाठी त्याने रुचीला गृहपाठ दाखवला. So why I'm writing like this style? Actually, I want to interpret how that pronoun will be referred to that particular noun. As I said, there are possibility in a back sentence there might be more than one nouns. So it must refer to the correct noun. So I have experimented this particular sentences. Please next. See here, actually I have given some diagrammatically way. Actually Tanayne is the antecedent here, and that referent is what that त्याचे. तनयने शाळेत त्याचे भाषण दिले. So antecedent आणि referent. आता बघा what happens here, तनयने शाळेत त्याचे भाषण दिले. आता आम्ही कोणतरी बोलतोय, पण आता बघा इथे ना बॅक मागचं वाक्य नाहीये. सो व्हॉट हॅपन्स हिअर, दॅट त्याचे मस्ट रेफर्स टू तनयने. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो पॉसिबिलिटी. म्हणजे एकाच सेंटेन्स मध्ये तोच रेफरंट तोच प्रोनाउन राहील आणि त्याचाच अँटीसिडेंट पण राहील. ओके, नॉट गोइंग बॅक टू प्रिव्हियस सेंटेन्सेस. समटाइम्स डबल. आता हे केव्हा होतं तेही मांडलंय पुढे. आता पुढे सेंटेन्स 4, रणबीर आणि दीपिकाने त्यांच्या लग्नाचे फोटो दाखवले. व्हॉट हॅपन्स हिअर, दिस इज अगेन डिफरंट वन. When we say त्यांच्या, त्यांचे मीन्स नॉट मोर दॅन वन, मीन्स प्लुरल वन. नीट बघितलं रणवीर आणि दीपिका 2 जण आहेत तिथे. So by that we identified that particular, as I said, what that plural, singular, and likewise that. Okay. Next. अनेक मुलांनी मुलींनी सामूहिक विवाह सोहळ्यात त्यांचे लग्न केले. अनेक मुलांनी आणि मुलींनी. सो हिअर बघा पहिलं सेंटेन्स मी घेतलं रणवीर आणि दीपिका. आता इथं अनेक मुलांनी मुलींनी. सो बाय अनालायझिंग दिस, ओके, we say that what happens here की अनेक मुलांनी मुलींनी ऍक्च्युली इथं टू सिंग्युलर अँटीसिडेंट आपल्याला वर्क करता येईल. कसं मुलांनी हा एक समूह झाला, समूह. सी though it's we think it's a plural one, but it's in a group 1 मुलांनी, मुलींनी group 2 likewise this. आणि मग त्या दोघांचे ते ग्रुप 1 ऍज अ सिंग्युलर, ग्रुप 2 ऍज अ सिंग्युलर आणि दोघांचे मिळून प्लुरल. सो वी आर से त्यांचे लग्न, जे त्यांचे म्हटलं ना ते त्या पद्धतीने म्हटले. आता इथं परत सेंटेन्सेस बघितलं, कीर्ती आणि रुचीने तिच्या भावाला बोलवले. आता कीर्ती, सॉरी मी बोलताना चुकलो आणि बोलून पडलो मी, एक्स्ट्रीमली सॉरी. कीर्ती किंवा रुचीने, नाउ इट्स अगेन डिफरंट. कीर्ती किंवा रुचीने. सी वी आर सेइंग द 2 नाउन्स ना, कीर्ती किंवा रुचीने. बट मग आपल्याला वाटतं की 2 नाउन्स आहेत, मग तिथं 2. बट हिअर व्हाट हॅपन्स, ऑर दॅट किंवा मीन्स व्हाट, किंवा इज द having some weightage here. So in this way, just a minute, last. In this way we studied all these sentences. Thank you. एक WhatsApp please. See, the conclusion of my work is pronoun antecedent agreement using gender, case, number in Marathi language. So I just find these things. A pronoun take the place of a noun. Sometimes pronoun. Sometimes pronoun might take the place of that pronoun. Okay. Pronoun and noun agreed with the following. A. Subject pronoun can be replacing a subject noun, and object pronoun can be replacing the object noun. Feminine pronoun can be replacing the feminine pronoun. Masculine pronoun can be replacing the masculine pronoun. A singular pronoun can be replacing a singular noun. A plural pronoun can be replacing a plural noun. Actually, by this agreement, we will able to find correct antecedent or from a possible antecedent for a particular universe, so that when we work for this thing in the Marathi language, okay, we get easy. Okay, and that's the conclusion of my work. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, what are the issues you are finding during this conversion of pronoun and all these things?
Actually.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Got it.
Yes.
Actually.
Somebody. Hello.
Yes, madam.
Sir, what are the problems you are occurred during solving this type of sentence?
Actually, yes, madam.
Similar to this, the same question is that if some ambiguities occur in the word, so how, whether you are consider this or not?
Yes. Actually, only syntax, but also the semantic ambiguity is also present sometimes. Okay. But for this particular presentation, okay, I had only saying that pronoun and antecedent to that particular agreement.
Okay.
My work is that also key, how we are going to find the correct antecedent for a particular anaphora. As per as you said, na, key ambiguity is present. Ambiguity in the sense what that key this टेबलवर सफरचंद ठेवले होते आणि मी त्याला कापले. मी असं बोललो. मी माझं पुढचं वाक्य ऍक्च्युअली मी तुम्हाला एक एक्सप्लेन करून देतो फक्त. टेबलवर सपोज ठेवलं ते त्याला कापलं. आता त्याला जे ना व्हॉट हॅपन्स हिअर ते ऍक्च्युअली इट माइट बी अ सफरचंद किंवा इट माइट बी अ टेबल. ओके, नाउ हिअर pragmatic aspect must be important. Pragmatic aspect. ओके, पण समजा मी असं म्हटलं की पेपर वेट हा टेबलवर ठेवला होता आणि मी त्याला मारण्याचा प्रयत्न केला. आता इथं असं होतंय टेबल आणि पेपर वेट दोघं आहेत. नाउ इट्स अगेन pragmatic aspect व्हॉट दॅट की असं जर बघितलं आपण की आपण दोघांना मारू शकत नाही, पण समजा असं आलंच तर आपण टेबलला मारणार, पेपर वेटवर मारणार नाही. समटाइम्स समवन से यस, नाही मी पेपर वेटला मारणार नाही. Actually, these are the issues because we have to resolve this ambiguity. Actually, the thing is added in my work also, but for this particular scope, I have only considered only this particular part.
Okay. Have you present the results, sir, in your paper? Results
For this.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, bola.
For this particular, okay, I only find that particular table, means how we are going to find it under agreement also. Okay, but I have already presented this this work actually. Okay, I showed to in Avishkar also. Okay, in the second level also. Okay.
Okay, sir. And how you collect your database?
Actually, for my work, I am approaching that IIT Bombay's database.
Okay. And you
These
also
are the sample sentences just to explain what is the actually pronoun antecedent grammar. I have collected only this. I have worked on this sample sentence only because it's my PhD topic. Okay.
And have you considered the Marathi number also?
Not getting number.
Marathi number, if in some sentence there is number is there, Marathi number. की राधा 103 नंबरचा कोर्स करते, कम्प्युटर कोर्स करते, तर हॅव यू कन्सिडर दिस नंबर ऑल्सो और ओनली द वर्ड्स, मराठी वर्ड्स?
No,
in
only
the
the words.
Okay. Okay, very good presentation, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you. Shall I? Hello.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor V.P. Majan, sir, G.G. Khalse College, Muktai Nagar, to present his research paper on an approach towards unstructured big data analysis using HDFS and map readings.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Are you viewing my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I am audible?
Yes, sir. Complete.
Okay. So today, uh, in this conference, I am going to present my paper, An Approach Towards the Unstructured Big Data Analysis Using SDFS and MapReduce. So first of all, what is MapReduce and what is SDFS? We know that Apache Hadoop is an open source framework to store and process big data in distributed environment. My paper is analysis of unstructured data, and for that analysis, I have to use the Hadoop architecture. In unstructured big data, it is a collection of text, videos, some audios, and unformatted data also in that unstructured data, including images, emails, etc. Hadoop is an open source framework to store and process big data in distributed environment. There are two major components of Hadoop. One is to be distributed file system, and second one SDFS. Distributed file system store and process large data sets which runs on commodity hardware. Means you can run in low configure hardware as well as inexpensive hardware, and you can run this type of distributed file system. SDFS is one of the most useful tool. Hadoop distributed file system. It is called as a Hadoop distributed file system, which breaks the large data into small blocks and that are duplicated and distributed across the cluster. Because I have already stated to you, my work is on unstructured big data. And unstructured big data having a collections of audios, videos, images, and much more in that data. And to analyze that data by using a tool that is a Hadoop. In SDFS architecture, there are two types of nodes. One is to be master-slave framework. Nodes in master-slave framework that are name node and data node. Let us take the review of what is the name node and what is the data nodes. In this SDFS cluster consists name node and number of data nodes. Name nodes which stores the metadata and which acts as a master server responsible for managing the namespace of file system. Name node executes the namespace operation of file such as open, close, rename, or directory. We know that every file system having or special kind of operations. And that operations are associated with that file means you need to open a file, you need to close a file, you need to rename a file, or you want to rename a directory, you want to store something into that directory. And that decides the mapping from data blocks to specific nodes. And application data is stored in data node, which act as a slave server, And our interest is towards the data nodes, because the clustering of that data is to separate this unstructured data and forming a structure, forming into the structural data level. We know that we can't store the structured data, we can't store the unstructured data like in a tabular format, but we can only store the structured data in tabular format. And so that we want to analyze this unstructured data and to make it the correct formation or correct analysis of that data into structured format. These data nodes is responsible for processing the read write request from a file system client, creating, deleting, copying the data block under the control of name node. And this data is very much useful for making the storage. This is the HDFS architecture. In this image, we have seen the architecture of the HDFS, and there are chunks of data nodes, that is rack 1, rack 2, and there are the blocks. We've seen here the blocks, and that is the collections of data. Suppose we've seen that the data is for images, data like XMLs, data like videos, data like audios. These are separated in a blocks. And we are now creating the nodes for videos, creating the nodes for audios, creating the nodes for images. And according to that, we can arranging the data in the database. Next, HDFS architecture and the map reduce framework. It runs on the same set of nodes because both storage and compute nodes are same. It accepts text, images, videos, etc. Hadoop map reduce programming paradigm and HDFS are used for processing large and unstructured data. These points, we can explain step by step. It runs on the same set of nodes because both storage and compute nodes are the same. Set of nodes and storage and compute nodes are the same. Exactly. There are the set of nodes and we can store that data in a proper storage structure. It requires a special effort to store that data, special techniques to store that data. SDFS accept the data in any format like text, images, videos, etc. Hadoop MapReduce programming paradigm SDFS are used for processing the large and unstructured data sets. We will see the concept of MapReduce. MapReduce framework is a programming model. And the word MapReduce, one is to be map and second is to be reduce. But first of all, we will see here what is the role of that MapReduce. To process huge data set in parallel in distributed environment. The huge volume of data is divided into many file blocks distributedly stored in computer cluster. MapReduce is a programming model used for large data set processing with fast realization and strong scalability in distributed environment. This is the features of this MapReduce and what are the major phases which are involved in MapReduce paradigm. This function means map function performing the role of filtering and sorting. Means it filters the unstructured data and sort that data, while reduce function carries out grouping and aggregation operation. The map function split the input data into fixed number of pieces to get evaluated in map phase. And in next level, in map phase, the data from the data blocks get split and key value pairs are generated. The reduce function is responsible for aggregation information received from the map function, where the data reduced into single output value. In short, we can say that whenever you supply a data to the MapReduce, it just sort out that data, it filters that data, and the reducing functions grouping and making the aggregations operation. Means you know that whenever you supply the data, there are a large number of duplications are found. And whenever these duplications or the same kind of data is there, then you want to sort out that data and you want to manage in proper grouping. But how you can split that data, that for that purpose, the map function make the pieces, fixed number of pieces to get the valuation for the map piece. Means whenever you can break that data in small spaces, then and then only you will proceed to make the proper filtration of that data. And that data block getting the key value pairs are generated. Because whenever you separate the data, you need to make it the key values. And it is responsible for aggregation information received from map function. And data is reduced in a single output value. So this is the working of this MapReduce. Now, common big data analytic tools categories, because there are a number of tools to make a big data analysis. But whenever you make the analysis of that data will be categorized in 5 categories: clustering and segmentation, classification, regression, association, and correlation. So clustering and segmentation, which divides a large collection of entity into smaller group, that shows some similarities. Classification is the process of organizing the data into predefined classes on base of attribute that are either pre-selected by analysts or identified as a result of clustering model. Clustering and segmentation, dividation of large collections of data into smaller group, because we know that you can't handle a big data. You need to make the filtration of that data. You should require a pure format of data. You should collecting a data as making the clustering of the same similar data entities, and that data entities are now in the next step you have to make the classification according to the attribute. Next, regression. In regression, you have to find out the relationship among the dependent variable. There are more than one variable, may be dependent, may be independent variables are there. It helps to determine how to depend the variable's value and change in the relations of independent variable value. You know that regression in sometimes in database or in data, there are the values which are not dependent for or which is not consistent for that data. And this is the independent variables values are there. And you should discover that data values and you can change the values. You can making the values determinable of the independent values. Next is to be association and atom set mining. It looks for statistically relevant relationship among the variables of the large data set. Relevant data collections are there, and which make the collections of atom set of data, and similarity and correlations. And lastly, it collected the similar type of data and similar kind of entities are there, and which makes the clustering for the processing. Now, what is the processing flow of the MapReduce job? MapReduce involves 3 subtasks such as mapper, combiner, and partitioner. Mappers involves the mapping of data, means which data is there that maps with the help of this mapper. Combiner combines the mapping of data, and partitioner split the data into small clusters. म्हणजे आपण म्हणतो की मॅपिंग करणं म्हणजे एकमेकांशी जुळवून घेणं आहे, की एकमेकांना जुळणारा डेटा कसा असेल, आणि मग तो जो डेटा असेल त्या डेटाला कंबाईन करणं, एकत्रित करणं, मॅप झालेला डेटा, आणि जो डाटा असेल त्या डाटाला मग छोट्या छोट्या पार्ट्स मध्ये स्प्लिट करणं, दॅट इज द पार्टिशनिंग द स्प्लिट data into small clusters. While the reduce job involve 2 subtasks, joiner and reducer. Joiner holds the joining of the intermediate result, and reducer reduce the subtask is used for performing the aggregation. After the map and reduce job, the end result is stored in Hadoop distributed file system, because Hadoop distributed file system store all the results of this map reduce. This is the designs or the execution flow of MapReduce. दिसत नाही, कुठेच दिसत नाही. स्लाइड दिसते का आता? ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे. ठीक आहे, आपण एक वेळेस फ्लॅशबॅक पटापट करूया 1 मिनिटामध्ये. Apache Hadoop architecture has 2 main components. These are the distributed file system, and second one is that SDFS. SDFS is nothing but the Hadoop distributed file system, which breaks the large data into small blocks that are replicated and distributed across the cluster. SDFS cluster consists of these kinds of data nodes. One is to be name node and other is to be data nodes. Name node consists of metadata, while data node consists of the responsible processing for the read and write, and that is used for creating and deleting and copying the data blocks under the control of name node. Next one, this is the SDFS architecture where the data nodes are seen. The data nodes are the combinations of these are concept of the rack 1, and here showing the rack 1 and rack 2. There are the block of data nodes, means first block, second block, third block, and the green boxes are showing the data collections. Means in suppose you considering the rack 1. In this block, there are the collection of similar type of data. Suppose you have the data of XML data, images, videos, audios are there. Then in first block, there are suppose we consider here, this is the collections of audios. In second block, it is the collections of images. And here in third level, it is the collections of audios or some text are there. And these are called as the data nodes because we know that the unstructured big data are the collections of text, images, videos, audios, or anything. And so that our first job is to analyze that data in a small chunks. And these small chunks are nothing but a data nodes, and that data nodes having a different kinds of blocks, and that include the text, images, videos, images respectively, audios respectively. And the SDFS role is to store the data. Now we focus the concept of map reduce. The map reduce is nothing but a framework for the programming model to process the huge data set in parallelly in distributed environment. Also, it divides the huge volume of data and in many file blocks, and it is distributedly stored in computer cluster. Also, the MapReduce programming model used for storing the large data set, processing with the fast realization. There are some phases which involves in the MapReduce. The map function performing the filtering and sorting. We know that the huge data or very large data you can't handle easily, and so that you need to filter that data. You need some pre-processing to making the proper use of that data. And you know that unstructured data you cannot handle or manage like the regular database management system. And for that purpose, because this data is not in structure format, and you should not create the table for that. And that's why you are not applying the concept of DBMS or relational database management system. And so that you want to filter that data, and for that filtering, we are using now the MapReduce. And this MapReduce function, filtering the data and sorting the data. Next, it making the small pieces of data and getting evaluation of the MapReduce phases. Also, it creates the key value pair to handle this data, and reduce function responsible for aggregating the information received from the map function and the key values. And now we are actually on this side. while I am going to presenting common big data analytic tools and how it categorizes. This can be broadly categorized into 5 parts: clustering and segmentation, classification, regression, association, and similarities and correlation. So first of all, clustering means which divides the large collections of entities into smaller groups. Because we know that, and we have already stated that this data is very large, and our need is to divide that large collection into smaller group, and that shows some similarities, because while it dividing that the unstructured big data, you should you will get the similarities of that data into small chunks, and then we are going to make the classification, because we know that the process of organizing data in predefined classes, because we know that classification, because we have already seen the concept of it is the collections of the various data, text, videos, audios, and we know that there are a predefined classes of data. Text data is there, data for videos, data of audios, some emails are there, and these data contain all the data collections, and which can be classified according to the attributes, and you can easily make the clustering model for that data. Now regression, to discover the relationship among the variables or more independent variables. You know that some variables are dependents and some variables are independents. Suppose it's showing some data is there, some text file is there, but text is empty. Somewhere some audio is there, but there is no audio. Means just these kinds of data are independent variables data, and you want to filter that data. And how you can determine that data? You first of all check out which are the dependent values for the relations with that independent values. And association of that data, you can make the association among the variables of the large data sets. And we can making the similarities of cluster by using the clustering algorithm, and which provides the proper data sets or candidate clustering is there. Next, processing flow of map reduce job. There are 3 tasks of the map, because we already explained that map and reduce. Map, what are the functioning of map and what are the functioning of reduce. Map job involves 3 subtasks: mapper, combiner, and partitioner. And reduce job having joiner and reducer. While mapper involves the mapping of data, means it make the which data is there. After all, it combines that data, and then you partitionalize data or split into the small cluster. And joiner make the joining of data, and reducer reduce the subtask of the performing the aggregation. Means whether the duplication is occur, it reduce that. Whether some files are not consistent, it will be reduce that file. After the map reduce, the result is stored in SDFS. This is the execution flow of map reduce function, and I am presenting the paper. In that paper, this is the view, and this is the structural model for processing this big unstructured big data. While you supply the data set, unstructured data set is there. Mapper task, mapping the mapper, combining and partitioning there. Map task is also here. Mapper, combiner, and partition, because data set is there and continuously you are supplying the data to that model or to that techniques. Reducer task, joining and reducing, and also multiple level processing is done there. Parallel processing is done because SDFS is fully supported for the parallel processing, and which the process data is stored in SDFS. And what is the flow of that data model? Data set, it is the unstructured data state, which is the input for the MapReduce process for the refinement and structuring. And you are to running the Hadoop MapReduce program supply the data set input for the MapReduce produce and is running the number of inputs data sets are there. And that inputs are executed and making the role of unstructured data volume can be structured successfully, because we know that structured data can easily making the database, you can use the database management system is there. And SDFS result distributed output will be stored in the SDFS, and you can browsing that result by using the name node log, because it is the collections of name node log. And next level, we are making the proper structuring after successful execution of the MapReduce. You can getting the data set is structured with the particular order according to the user requirement, and we will get our targeted result from this. And conclusion, with the use of this model, we can speed up our growth of data organization, both the structured and unstructured. Hadoop is the most excellent platform used to store and retrieve the information in large volume at high rate. Apache Hadoop is the solution for store and analysis the data with less cost for storage and fast processing time when compared with the other technologies. And that's why I am using this MapReduce in this paper. These are the references. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have explained in very depth the concept of Hadoop and MapReduce. Sir, in your slide, you have mentioned for passing the input, you have the key value pair must be there in MapReduce.
Okay.
So, show me some other methods that is used for passing the input.
No,
other methods name.
Because in unstructured data, there are collections of various data atom, and to partitionalize that data, you should require a separate key values.
Okay.
There is no perfect method to analyze this kind of unstructured data, and so that our first job is to make it that unstructured data into the tabular format, that is in a structured format. And for that purpose, we need to MongoDB or any other tools to store that data for the further unstructured data processing.
So have you the data, sir? Your work on start your working.
Yeah, madam.
Hello.
Yeah. I already started.
Have you like?
Hello.
Hello. Huh, sir? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Yes, sir. So have you collect your data?
Yes, I have collected data from the sites, big data for the processing.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request to Professor Yogesh Narayan Chaudhary, IMR College, Jalgaon, present his research paper on topic and overview on text stenography techniques. You have only 10 minutes to present your paper.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay. Hello. May I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible to all, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to all. I, Yogesh Chaudhary, presenting my research paper with the name An Overview of Text Technography Technique in the precise guidance of Dr. B.H. Bharate sir. Today, I am going to present my paper. Steganography, as we all know, every person, industry, country want to digitalize their work. As the result of this, use of the internet is increasing day by day. Using the internet, you can share information to everyone, everywhere in the world. While sharing information on internet, everyone wants to secure their data in the both digital and printed form. This is because hackers and attackers are continuously trying to get the access to the sensitive information in every aspect. So there is a huge demand to secure the data. To secure the data, many techniques like cryptography, steganography, and watermarking had been used. Here we are using steganography to secure information. Steganography is a Greek word means hidden writing. The word stegnos means hidden and graphical means writing. Steganography is an art of hiding data inside the digital medium like audio, image, video, text, protocol, etc. In the steganography, various terminology is used. That's are cover media, cover object. Cover object is a medium to embed the data. Text, audio, video, images are used for embedding data. It is also known as the vessel object. The secret data message stego key. The data which is to be embedded in a cover object is known as the secret object. Cover media can be encrypted using the stego key. Stego object is the object result obtained after embedding the secret message into cover object. Basic terminology used for the text technology. In the text technology, various techniques are used to hide that information, but primary, all the techniques are categorized under three main categories. In first technique, steganography. Steganographer changes the format of the text. In second technique of the steganography, steganographer replaces the text with its synonym. In third technique, steganography, steganographer changes the position of the text. Here are the technique which are primary based on the basic technique using text steganography, and we have in this paper we are study these techniques. First, word level technique, word level technique. Second, sentence level technique, grammar based technique, steganography using white space, steganography using font manipulation. Word level technique. The word level technique can be implemented in several ways. One common method is to use the thesaurus or other lexical resources to generate a list of synonyms for each word in the original message. The stenographer can then replace certain words in the message with their synonyms according to the predefined scheme or algorithm. For example, consider the following sentence: the quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog. Using the word level technique, the stenographer might replace certain word with their synonym to create the following hidden message: the swift brown fox leaps over the indolent dog. The sentence level technique. This technique involves the embedding the secret data within the structure of a sentence, such as by rearranging the word or changing the order of clauses. The resulting modified sentence are still grammatically correct and appear similar to the original sentence. One way to implement the sentence level technique is to use a sentence rearrangement. The stenographer can reorder the word or phrases in a sentence in a way that still preserve the sentence grammatically correctness and meaning, but also embed the hidden message. For example, consider the following sentence: the cat is sleeping on the windowsill. Using sentence rearrangement, the stenographer might change the sentence to on the windowsill the sleeping cat is. The grammar-based technique. In the grammar-based technique, secret data is embedded within the grammatical structure of the cover text, such as by using synonym, antonym, or homonyms that have the specific meaning in the context of the text. In first technique, the grammar-based technique involves using various techniques to modify the grammar or sentence to encode a message. For example, in first technique, the stenographer could use a homophones, which are words that sound the same but have different meaning, to create a message. In this technique, the stenographer would replace certain words in the original sentence with homophones that together form a hidden message. Another approach is to use the homonic technique. Here, words that sound the same but have different meaning spelling are used to encode a message. In this technique, the stenographer would replace a certain word in the original syntax with homonyms that together form a hidden message. The third approach is to use a punctuation based technique. In this technique, the stenographer uses a specific punctuation marks or combination of punctuation marks to encode the message. For example, the stenographer could use a series of commas, semicolon, or parentheses to encode a message. The stenography using white space. This technique involves hiding the secret message within the white space between word or lines in a cover text. The white space can be manipulated by changing the font size, kerning, and line spacing to create a pattern that represents the secret message. The process of hiding secret message using white space typically involve the following steps. Encoding the secret message. The first step is to encode the secret message as a binary data. Each character in the message is represented by a sequence of bits, which can be 8 bits, 1 byte for ASCII character or more for Unicode character. Second method is choosing a white space encoding scheme. The next step is to choose a encoding scheme that will be used to represent the binary data using white space. For example, one scheme might use the number of spaces between word to represent a 0 bit and the number of spaces and the tabs to represent a 1 bit. In third step, embedding the binary data. The binary data is then embedded within the cover text by manipulating the white space. For example, if the first character in the secret message is to represented by the bit sequence 01100, the number of spaces between the first two words in the cover text can be changed to represent the first bit, and number of spaces and tabs between the second and third word can be changed to represent the second bit 1. The fourth step to decode the binary data. To retrieve the secret message, the recipient need to know which whitespace encoding scheme was used to encode the binary data. The recipient can then decode the binary data by analyzing the whitespace in the cover text and converting it to binary data. Stenography using font manipulation. This technique involves the hiding the secret message by changing the font of specific character in a cover text. The different font can be used to encode the binary data, which can then be decoded to retrieve the secret message. The process of hiding the secret message using font manipulation typically involves the following step: encoding the secret message. The first step is to encode the secret message as a binary data. Each character is the message is represented by the sequence of bit, which can be 8-bit or ASCII. Just choosing a font. The next step is to choose the set of font that will be used to represent the binary data. Each font is assigned a unique binary code such as 00, Arial is 01, and Times New Roman, and so on. Third step is embedding the binary data, and fourth step is decoding the binary data. Now, to detect the presence of hidden messages in the steganographic media, here we use a stega analysis. Stega analysis is the process of detecting the presence of hidden message in a steganographic media. In the case of text steganography, where the several tools that can be used for stega analysis to detect the presence of hidden message, here are some examples. Steg expose. Steg expose is a stega analysis tool that can be detect a hidden message in a text, images, or audio file. It uses a statistical analysis to detect anomalies in the media file that may be indicate the presence of hidden data. Second is a gargoyle. The gargoyle is a stega analysis tool that can detect hidden message in a text file. It works by analyzing the frequency of distribution of character in the text file to identify an unusable pattern that may indicate the presence of hidden data. Third tool is used for detecting hidden steganography is a steg detect. Steg detect is a stegna analysis tool that can detect a hidden message in an image or audio file. It is used variety of detection method, including statistical analysis, checksums, pattern recognition to identify the presence of hidden data. The stegnogy is another method for stega analysis. It is a tool that can detect the hidden message in a text, images, and audio files. It uses the statistical analysis, frequency analysis, and pattern recognition to detect the anomalies in the media file that may indicate the presence of hidden data. The steg necropsy is a technique. Here is a conclusion of my research paper. In conclusion, text steganography is a technique of hiding secret data within a text message to maintain the confidentiality and integrity. It involves different techniques such as font manipulation, white space manipulation, sentence level, grammar base. Each technique has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of technique depend on the requirement of the application. Stega analysis tools such as the Jarjail, Stegnogy, and Steg Detect are used to detect the presence of hidden data. To ensure the secure connection, it is essential to use a strong encryption to technique along with steganography. Here are the references I have used for this paper. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Yogi sir, you have explained very well the theoretical concept.
Okay.
Have you studied any tools in details where
Yes,
it is
on currently I am working on the random base, means third types of steganography. Okay, in base this one minute. This is the steganography using sorry, this change position of the text, means I am working on the changing the position of text steganography, in which I am using the numerical encoding scheme to change my change the position of the word, madam.
okay? Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Poonam Mahajan ma'am, Organizing Secretary of ETCIT 2023 to address. Thank you all of you. Thank you all of the participants for attending the conference. and all the authors for presenting their paper. The presentation was very much nice. I request to Dr. Jindore madam if she want to share some information with participants. Ma'am.
Yes, Poonam madam. Whatever the paper, the participant, those are presented their papers. So it is basically the papers are theoretical one, but they have a deep study of their paper, theoretical paper. But in future, we are expecting that they are presenting some algorithm and the numerical result in well-defined format. Okay, thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Hello.
For your suggestion. And thank you all of the participants for attending the conference. And here, with the permission of all the dignitaries, I declare that the conference is over. Thank you all of you. The feedback form should be filled up for the certificate dispatch. So please fill up the form up to 7 p.m. tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much.